Good morning. It's Friday, March 5th, so it must be time for another legislative update from your North Carolina Medical Society. This week, on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday morning, the Joint Appropriations Committees on Health and Human Services met to discuss where we are currently in North Carolina, providing a kind of general overview of where we stand on topics like Medicaid, Medicaid transformation, and vaccines. Both Secretary Mandy Cohen and Dave Richard were a part of those presentations and conversations, and we'll continue to follow this very closely as we continue to look toward the creation of a budget for this legislative cycle. So stay tuned for that. Just wanted to point out that those conversations are still happening. If you want more information, visit our legislative blog for more of the details about what happened in those committees. Next, I want to point out to you a bill that was really the main focus of this week, House Bill 196, COVID Relief and Appropriations. There are many different healthcare provisions in this bill that would take me way too long to discuss, but I want to point out a few high-level items for you. The first is that this bill extends that 5% Medicaid bump that was supposed to expire in March, extends that until May. So if you are seeing Medicaid patients, you should still see that 5% bump until the end of May. The next thing that it does is it clarifies the health provider liability piece did not expire in 2020, but extends that. So you can probably recall me discussing that when we passed the COVID-19 policy bill way back in 2020. This just extends that liability protection while we're still in this state of emergency. The next piece I want to point out is this bill appropriates $3 million for the state Department of Health and Human Services to use on that CVMS system. So if you are providing COVID-19 vaccines to patients, you are utilizing the system. This $3 million is used to help update that system to make it a little more user-friendly for you as you're inputting that patient data. So that is really positive news. And the final thing I'll point out in that bill is it also appropriates $15 million for the UNC Policy Collaboratory, which helps with our surveillance for COVID-19. So we're thrilled to see that as a part of this bill too. Again, there are other healthcare provisions that I won't get into today, but if you want to learn more, that bill summary is available on our blog, as well as the full link to the bill. The next issue I want to point out is Senate Bill 135, which moved through the Senate Health Committee this week, which would improve the organ donation process by just making it a little more simple for users. So once you've opted in to be an organ donor, this would automatically register you. So you wouldn't have to click that box, check that box every single time. You would have to uncheck it. So it just makes it a little more user-friendly. So that bill moved through the Senate Health Committee this week. Another bill I want to mention to you that got a lot of traction this week that you may have seen in your local news is Senate Bill 37. So the governor vetoed this bill on Friday. This is regarding the school reopening. Again, I'm sure you've seen it in the newspaper, on your news channel. The governor vetoed this late on Friday, and then on Monday, the Senate took this bill back up to take up a veto override vote, and it failed. However, this bill was sent back to the Rules Committee on Thursday. So we may see some version of this bill back in the General Assembly next week. So stay tuned for that. The bill got a lot of traction and attention this past week, and will likely get more traction and attention next week. One other issue that I want to thank you for is that many of your county and medical specialty societies signed on to the bill to oppose House Bill 93, which is to require naloxone prescriptions with opioid scripts. So many of you have signed on to that. You'll see the letter linked in your morning rounds today. So if you haven't looked at that, be sure to check it out. You can see all the specialties and county medical societies that agreed to sign on. We were thrilled to have so much support, and be on the lookout for an action alert on that bill soon too. Finally, I want to just note some other bills that were filed this week. The first is House Bill 209, which is to support a statewide telepsychiatry program. This was filed as the primary sponsor by Dr. Kristen Baker, who's our only physician in the North Carolina General Assembly, and she is also a psychiatrist. So no movement on that yet, but we did see it filed this week. And another bill I want to point out to you that I know all of you will have an interest in is House Bill 214, which would provide some grant funding to reduce vaccine hesitancy. So we haven't seen any funding attached to this type of issue before. So it's another one we'll be tracking and monitoring closely and supporting as this budget process, like I mentioned earlier, continues to evolve. And finally, one celebratory note for this week that I want to mention to you is that Doctor's Day is on March 30th. And at the North Carolina Medical Society, we're taking this day to really celebrate you, our members who are physicians. We want to celebrate you on this very special day. So we hope you'll take some time and think about a friend, a colleague, an old medical school classmate that you would like to celebrate. So much has gone on in this pandemic. We think this is a really great day to reflect on that. So we have an option to send an e-card for just $10, and all of those funds go to the Medical Society Foundation. So we would love for you to think about that and participate in that to honor one of your peers or one of your colleagues. That's all that I have for you this week. We hope you have a wonderful weekend.